Hello and welcome to the post-game show. Hey Sean, how you doing? How are the games?
Oh man. Um, Weirdly, I think the Wraith King might be my favorite game of Dota that I've ever played ever.
I missed like the whole thing, dude. You went offline on Steam and
Oh
like my
shit,
game got
that's right.
bugged and then I
Oh
couldn't
yeah.
watch, but it was fine because I was restarting my PC anyways because I always restart right before the stream and I saw the last fight at least and you looked pretty strong.
I the thing that I enjoyed a lot about it is just that it took all of my energy to focus on power tread switching. I don't know if you were like watching me in between the games when I talked about that, but
No, not much.
there's conceptual things that might be hard to wrap my head around,
Yeah.
but I can make progress on those. For
Mhm.
instance, when you did the itemization episode,
Yeah.
it was a whole lot of stuff to hold in my head. And during the game, I was like, what item do I pick? But at the very least, I feel like I can make progress on that. But like, my God, tread switching is Spirit Breaker. There's just some loop in my brain where I see a target and I charge, and I'm not aware that my hand has hit buttons,
It kind of
right?
makes sense.
Because
I mean, you don't have much time, right? You only have like a fraction of a window most of the times to do the
uh,
charge, so
I wouldn't say that. Like, I mean, I think good players would be in that experience, but for me, it's literally just that like I'm just in the process of just like there's a guy. Yeah, okay, let's charge. And it's so hard for me to break just hand habits.
yeah.
So in the Wraith King game, it was really fun because I just was 100% focused on that. And you really feel how you have extra mana,
Yeah.
which is odd. And I killed some people a few times, and that felt tight.
You did also have a CM on your team, I believe. Like the first game you played and the third game you played, you had Crystal Maidens, which kind of, especially when you're on Spirit Breaker and you have an urn, I feel like it just kind of defeats the whole purpose of tread switching, so it wasn't that big of a deal. At least for mana purposes, like it wasn't that big of a
Yeah.
deal. But game 3, yeah, if you're playing Wraith King and you're against an anti-mage, it's super important. Because I guarantee there was a couple times where you got a stun off or you got an ulti off because you tread switched earlier.
Yeah, yeah. No, definitely in the early game. I think twice I was in that spot where it's like 120 mana. I even
Gotcha.
like tread switch, and I was like, oh.
I'm alive.
So
Yeah,
yeah, and
cool.
also the trying to think about the laning or the farming patterns with Wraith King.
Yeah, that's
Uh,
mostly what I wanted to watch mid-game. How did that go?
it I felt pretty good about it, except for the fact that my team was like, we have to end as fast as humanly possible. The whole world's going to explode. So there was a rush to do that.
Okay.
So I was trying to weigh those together, but the thing that I was personally happy about is I was both aware of what I was trying to do with my farming pattern, and I was aware of trying to stay vaguely close to the fights.
That's good.
And sometimes I didn't engage in the fights, but it felt like a choice as opposed to I wasn't paying attention well enough and I fucked it all up. So that was great. I
Yeah, that sounds
just
good.
felt dialed in that game, which is just a very satisfying feeling. To me, like the feeling that I had in that game is like if you're playing DDR
Yeah.
or Rock Band or my rhythm game of choice, Beat Mania 2DX, and you're just comboing, right? Like you're
Yeah.
just the sensation of being in the zone. It feels really good. And I don't think I necessarily played great, but I was very focused, so
That's
I
good.
enjoyed it a
I'm
lot.
kind of surprised it went well like that because I think you tread swapped like 2 times in the first 2 games. Pretty sure.
Yeah, and it was remarkably hard because in the second game I was like, I need to keep doing it. I need to keep doing it. And I would say it right before the charge. I'm going to tread switch, and then I just didn't. And then I was like, how is this possible? It was like a weird feeling to
Yeah.
just not be able to do it. I think the big things that I have question marks
Yeah.
for are the first two Spirit Breaker games. There were those kind of dead periods where no one was really showing on the map. Maybe we were down a player, and I didn't quite know how to farm and to be relevant in the game.
Okay. Yeah, we can definitely cover some of that.
And I'm
Um,
getting a little better at being aggressive against the people that I am in the safe lane against.
okay.
Or excuse me, when I'm in off lane and they're in safe lane. But I did dive a few times, but I'm still
Yeah,
trying to get a sense of. I feel as though I'm improving. I've been doing much better in
I
my
would
Spirit
agree.
Breaker games off lane. So
Yeah, you're doing better. It's just a little misdirected still, so you're making some mistakes, but there is improvement definitely. Especially that time you double bashed the Luna. I was really happy in that moment because you right clicked her twice. You happen to get lucky, and all of a sudden she's missing 40% of her HP. You know, like little pokes like that can make a big difference. And it's the
yeah,
same for
dude.
Wraith King because he also has a crit.
Yeah,
So,
which
all
I
right,
nailed against Animage, which felt tight, so tight. Oh, I got to full screen this. Okay, I'm ready.
you
Purge,
ready?
educate me,
Ready?
man. Educate
Okay,
me.
cool. So
Do it.
you started off with I missed some of the earliest clips, but to talk about the laning stage first, you basically were a Spirit Breaker with a techies. I know you're flustered with the picks that your heroes had. Do you feel like you guys allocated resources properly in this game?
I don't understand the implications of that question.
Okay. Well, for example, you're level 3 right now at 3 minutes and 40 seconds. I feel like if you were solo, you probably would have been level 4, level 5. Is that a fair assumption?
100%. This is consistently the weird thing that I'm experiencing. I think that in, say, the last 15 or so games that I've played with Spirit Breaker, I have been off lane in almost all of them, and I get a really strong sense that around 5 or 6, especially 6, I'm very strong.
Yeah.
And I feel really powerful. I don't know if that's correct.
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. Yeah,
I feel weak at 1 and 2 for sure.
I would say you're definitely weak at 1. At 2, you're decent. You're strong enough, definitely. The thing that you have to abuse at 2 to be strong is that you can move max movement speed. Well, not max movement speed, but you can gap close really fast and guarantee that you get a disable off. That's what you have to abuse to make it good. But you didn't really do that in a lot of cases. Like, for example, in this one here, you just did a melee range charge. You wanted to use your ultimate, but you did it in melee range. Like, you basically nullified the advantage that you had from the skill here. You turned it into a melee range stun that actually pushes them away from you, which is kind of crap. So
yeah, so I just should have attacked in that spot and then
attacked first and then charged, because once he lifts you, you're screwed. You're not going to catch up. But if you had hypothetically held it all the way until here, that guy dies 100%.
Can he lift while I'm charging?
He can, but he'd have to turn around and lift you. So he'd have to turn his whole body, and if he turns in time, yes. So hypothetically, he could have interrupted that, but at the very least, he couldn't move. This charge ended up being pretty good. One thing you really messed up a lot in most of the games I watched today is you really forgot about hero mechanics stuff, or hero manipulation. You basically ignored attack moving. You did a lot of stuff like this where you just stand still and auto-attack somebody. This was ultimately a great play, and it worked out by all means, but I would have liked to see you doing a little attack moving there, because if you did get lucky and get a bash, it would have been really successful.
By, like, attack moving through and past him to where his retreat path might be.
Exactly. Which, funnily, might have gotten you killed in that case because you had to walk back to the mine. But in that moment, I felt like you should be attack moving personally, based on me watching the clip. And maybe you would have been successful if you hit him one more time. Who knows? But either way, he got killed. A little bit of inefficiency here. This is very similar to the clip that we saw that was prepared today. You sat in the fountain, and by the time you actually
I literally
walked
thought
out,
it when I charged. Yeah, no, I remember this. I charged, and I was like, fuck.
So I would agree that Spirit Breaker is really strong at 6 because you do get 2 guaranteed bashes. So usually the problem with the dueling is that you're splitting experience, and maybe you did get all the farm, but the problem is that it delays when your 6 comes, and then that means the time that which you can put your ultimate on cooldown is further delayed. And the circumstances of you using it is even more difficult. So that was literally just a clip of you being inefficient. Here's a big issue that I noticed from the start. You never tread swapped when you healed with Urn, ever. You thought about tread switching for mana.
Didn't even occur to me. Didn't occur to me until you said it. Yeah,
that's what I figured. But there was tons of times of this happening, and a difference of, I don't know, if we try to do the mental math quick, it's probably like an extra 30 health, 40 health, something like that, I would assume.
It's kind of interesting that, like, with tread swapping, I did not understand that you could do tread swapping for these types of efficiency things.
Yeah.
To me, like, that's what was most mind. That's why I was just like, because it's essentially they're optimization boots.
Yeah,
like,
it's a huge advantage of them. Honestly, if you compare what they give you static, 25 attack speed and we'll say 9 damage, basically. If you compare that to phase, which do 24 damage and give you huge mobility, it's like, that's an easy decision. But when you throw in tread swapping on heroes that have mana problems, it completely changes it and makes it more balanced. If you're not doing it right, like, literally the game is balanced around the top players tread swapping. That's what makes treads good. Like, so if you just don't do it, they kind of suck. You'd probably be better at getting phase in a lot of cases.
Man.
So this clip, you weren't really good about using Urn all the time. Like, this would have been a really good time to earn the techies. Just throw them in Urn, you've got 4 charges. I remember late game, you're like, I never have opportunities to use Urn. It wasn't really true. It's just you're not always taking them right when you need to. This little fight, I thought you played it fairly well and that you ran here. I like that you used the Shadow Amulet here. This is really nice. But there's a lot of cases where you kind of miss some timing potential in your fight. So as soon as this guy gets ultied, you have an option. You could potentially channel your ulti and try to stun him to break it. But I didn't think that was a good idea, and I was glad you didn't do it. But right here, I feel like it would have been really good to charge the Pudge. Because you would have stunned this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy.
Didn't I?
Wait for it. And as soon as he's dead, then you charge. Like,
yeah.
in which case, then this is what guarantees your death. And the other thing to look at is, I clicked over on Techies here because I was like, all right, he's dead. They're actually fighting a Weaver over here, and I feel like if you had charged through those 4 guys, Techies would have used his Suicide Squad from here to nail like 4 guys right there. And I guarantee you guys would have gotten like a kill or 2.
You know, the funny thing is that I felt like the charge in initially was the terrible play.
When you did it?
Yeah, when I charged in on the Rubik initially, and you were like, "This is good that you ran here."
No, that was a bad play. You probably should have canceled, but I didn't really blame you too much for committing to it because of the circumstances of the fight, which is you guys were fighting. Maybe it could go well, but there weren't that many heroes.
The primary reason that I charged that Rubik, I'm very embarrassed to say, is I was determined to just tread swap one time.
Okay.
So what I did is I just tread swapped, found a target, attacked, and then went back.
But this is a lot of the value that Spirit Breaker gives, is that you get a guaranteed bash when you run charge through somebody, and that's like a 1.6 second stun. So you could basically 1.6 second stun 4 heroes, which is like incredible for any hero if you're getting 4 heroes with that much stun.
And I would guarantee the day 9 luck stun.
Possibly.
Well.
And the Tiny probably just would have gotten away, because if they didn't have any more disables, Pudge being stunned would have meant that he's not going to be in rot anymore, and if he just stops taking damage for 3 seconds, the Tiny blinks away. So I think there's a real chance that you could have saved him. Maybe not. Looks like he probably still would have been hooked, but you know, you never know. At the very least, it might have messed up these other guys at a better time, and maybe Tiny could turn and cast another spell. You know, you never know.
Yeah.
This charge here that you went in on with the Shadow Blade on the mid lane, and I believe, yeah, the Rubik comes from the side.
Lord, I went deep.
So I really didn't like how you used your ultimate here.
Yeah.
Because this guy had very low HP. This is like 260, and you've got a Shadow Blade hit for like 175 physical, and you hit for like 130 physical. It's like, you just would have been like, dook, and he dies, you know? Like, even if you didn't bash, I think that guy dies.
Yeah.
And this actually had huge implications, because in the next fight here, you're trying to initiate on this guy, and this is okay, because your team was pretty well positioned, they had a dead hero, but you have no follow-up stun because you used your ultimate to kill the Rubik. So now when you actually initiate and try to kill this guy, that guy's dead 100% if you ulti him.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
No matter what. And because of that, everyone dives past the tower, this guy gets hooked, this guy loses more HP than he should. And ultimately you did something really, really silly as well. The whole like,
yeah, this is inconceivable what was going through my head at this point in time. I can't, if you want explanation, I don't have one. I have a lot of explanations for my bad plays because I understand what's going on in my head. At this point I was like, I see a man. I think that was all that I thought at the time.
They were low, that's for sure. Now one thing you could have done maybe differently here is that after you disengaged, rather than sitting down in this area, because you earned this guy and you ran south, it might have been better if instead you ran up here. Because that way when you charge, you're coming in at an angle, and you're going to be running through these trees as you approach. The way you charge, you're running right through the creeps, right like, past the tower, and they're like,
of the tower,
hey, I wonder if the Spirit Breaker is charging me, you know? It, like, maybe if these were disengaged and you're staying on the cliff when you charge, they wouldn't see it coming. And
yeah, like I looked like a downhill ski racer, and like all the creeps in the tower were pennants, and I was like, all right, weaving through. Look at this, literally right through it, man.
Yeah. So, small mistake there. This moment here, this was like I was very surprised you got this. The what would you call it? The day 9 luck bash?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was no way you got that kill otherwise. But the big mistake that you made here, you're missing HP right now. You got 5 earn charges. Give yourself the earn. Because you didn't. That probably was about 10 seconds, realistically, that you didn't take hero damage. So you could be initiating this fight with 400 more HP from the earn.
Yeah. Oh, my treads are on end. And erroneously.
Yeah. I noticed that as well earlier. You used them to initiate, but you never swapped back over to strength, so that was another point.
Lord.
So if you would have earned and switched back to strength treads afterwards, you probably would have been really close to full HP. And at this point, how did the charge work again? Oh yeah, this was mostly a camera position error, I believe. That if you look at the way that your camera is moving during this fight development, it's pretty much always on you, and it's seeing your allies only. But if you look at the map, there's tons of heroes that you can actually see if you'd move your camera. So when you finally did go for the charge, you went for the guy that's nearest, which is not the right thing to do, because instead you could have clicked that on the Legion and hit 2 stuns on the way through.
Right.
And then been like, oh, I'm next to a Legion, maybe I should use my Shadow Blade, which you never did. And then you died. But either way, there's like 4 errors there, HP issues, and your team still ended up owning the fight really easy. But you know, little min-maxes like that means a couple less deaths a game, and then that means the game just ends at an early time.
Couple more MMR for me.
Exactly.
Gobbling it up.
Okay, so now we can actually talk a lot about the laning stuff because you did pretty well in the laning this game. I skipped like the first 2 minutes because I thought you did a pretty good job just like getting consistent last hits and right-clicking them and stuff. But the issue is that the way that you played this was very static, and that I'd say your goal was like get last hits. If there's an opportunity, harass the Luna. Keep buying your items, but you never did anything but sit near the creeps and try to harass the Luna. When the person you should harass, and sometimes you should harass the carry, but the person you should force fights against as the offlane hero is the support.
I really felt strongly like the CM was the big reason I died in all the fights.
Not at all. She did very well attack moving and stuff like that and good spell usage, but when Luna is with another hero, she becomes so much better because she has a 6-second cooldown nuke that does a pretty decent sized stun, and she has a damage
6
aura.
seconds. Holy shit.
I think it's like 6, maybe 8, but it's really low. Really, really low.
Wow.
So just CM standing next to her, she has bonus damage, for example. So almost every single time that you fought these guys, they were together. And you missed a lot of opportunities like this as well. 2 creeps that you want to get a last hit on, your focus like, I need to get the last hit. But instead you could have just cast a charge on the Luna. Because then it would have AoE killed the creeps. She would have gotten stunned. And all of your creeps would have just been slapping her. So little opportunities like this, you definitely missed.
Yeah, I think the entire idea of just using... Okay, so here's been my experience with Charge. That I find that I run out of mana a lot early on, so I want to use it more frequently for guaranteed huge damage plays instead of just some last hits and bonus harass.
This is a huge damage play, though. That's the issue. Because you've got 2 points in Bash. This would not only guarantee a lot of damage on her, but it also gets you 2 last hits. So you're not only trading, like you got one of these last hits with your auto attack, but if you use Charge, you get 2 last hits, so you're already getting like 40 more gold. And you're doing a charge nuke on the Luna, and while she's stunned for 1.2 seconds, she's also being attacked by 2 range creeps and 2 melee creeps, and she doesn't have a stout shield because she's ranged. So I guaranteed that this would do at least 200 damage to the Luna, 400 mana. So you're getting 2 creeps of gold.
Let's see, how much damage do I
think
how much damage does Bash do? I'm trying to look at it right now.
I think it's like 22% level 1 or something like that. I can look it up online.
Yes, it's 30% at level 2.
Okay, so you've got 335 movement speed, so that's about 33.5 damage per level. So that's 100 magic damage guaranteed. Yeah. And you would right click her afterwards. So you do 100 magic, 71 physical, and you'd have 2 melee creeps and 2 range creeps hitting her the whole time. And if you attack moved, there's a realistic chance that maybe you get 2 attacks in there. Just a shitload of damage. You didn't take any opportunities. You usually don't take opportunities. That's the first... if 2 creeps are dying and the guy's standing right there and you got a nuke that shit, because you're going to hit him, you're going to get 2 last hits, and your creeps are going to hit him. And he's going to be like, oh shit, it's just me and these 6 creeps hitting me. But this is one of those opportunities where you should have just been trading with the CM, most likely. Do you want to explain the First Blood?
Do I want to explain it? It's just that I did not realize how much damage they were going to be able to do together. And I thought that if I charged through, I could... Okay, so if you rewind a little bit, I thought that I could possibly get the tower to aggro on her.
Gotcha. The issue was you ran a little bit too far, and there was enough creeps. The tower range is about here or something.
Yeah.
And it would, even if it was hitting her, she'd probably be able to de-aggro it. But you basically fought 2 heroes that you didn't super zone, and you haven't killed anybody yet. And there's 5 creeps and a catapult. Just way too much damage. And your next issue, because her nuke is so low cooldown, and she also has bonus night vision, running this way is suicide, even if you didn't get blocked by the creeps.
Now that I'm here, I just should have gone that way, yeah.
Easily. Because then as soon as you get here, they're not going to be able to attack you anymore. So, small mistakes there. Alright, so this is the trading choice one that... This is a moment where the creep wave died, you walk back to hit some creeps, but in the meantime, CM's sitting over here. If you look at the map really briefly, there's a CM right there. We can look at her. She's got okay HP, but you also have a mid-Tiny literally right next to her. And I guarantee if you charged her here, she probably would have died if Tiny followed up. But consistently, you were only focused on being in the lane.
Totally.
And that's lost opportunity. When a support is trying to zone an offlaner, their purpose is try to get you out of experience range. So usually what you have to do as an offlaner is beat them enough where they don't feel comfortable zoning you, then you can get experience. But at low MMRs, what happens is they don't know how to zone, so you kind of just get the first couple levels free, but then the offlaners don't know to punish the support when they have a boots advantage, and then it's like you don't get the advantage that you should be taking back. Like, as soon as you had Orb of Venom right here, I don't even think the CM is going to boots herself. So she has no boots, she's running around at 285, you're running 335 base, and you have an Orb of Venom. So if you hit her one time, she's already slowed to like 260 movement speed or something. Like, you have a huge movement speed advantage. And if she gets really far away from you, you can just charge her to catch up. Like, it's such a big advantage. But you never fought her by herself. The only time you ever fought her was situations like this. Like, she looks so squishy right there. She's like 350 HP or something. But every time that you fight, it's like you plus Luna. You're always fighting two heroes, so you're losing all of your potential to outplay. So that was the biggest mistake you made in this laning stage by far.
Yeah, I mean, I can say for certain. For some reason, I have in my head that I want to harass the carry primarily. I don't know why, but like I just think
they're the more valuable kill by far.
Yeah. So I think that like in my head, it's like, okay, I got to get the support out of the way, but this is the big target. I don't know why it literally was not in my head in the slightest. Oh yeah, no, just go find the other guy and just kill him.
Yeah,
it's not a problem.
Or at least pressure him, just charge him, and then he frostbites you, but he's in the middle of the jungle and his carry's over by the creep wave. Like, no way even close. And then she uses a frostbite on you, and you lost a charge, but you're like, it's no big deal. I've got like 300 mana. But you can right-click her like 6 times. Like, a hugely advantageous trade. So, one thing I did want to compliment you on was the amount of last hits you have. Like, 34 last hits for 10 minutes, I think is really good. And you actually had more last hits than the Luna did.
Yeah, sick.
Which is pretty good. So, and if we look at the overall net worth, I think you're above her as well. Just barely, but above her, which is a big advantage. So this is good. I think your last hitting for your MMR is very good, I would say. You obviously have some choke periods sometimes, but it's definitely very good.
Oh, yeah. Okay, cool.
One mistake. Actually, I missed the last 2 minutes because I had to restart the replay, I believe.
Yeah.
But your ultimate's off cooldown. I'd like you to go somewhere with somebody else, or ask somebody to come to your lane and gank the Luna. Be the best thing to do. Like, bring Bounty to the lane, that way you can charge ulti combo her, and then all of a sudden he throws like 200 damage more and she dies, for example. You should always be looking for those opportunities when you have your ult on Spirit Breaker, because that's like, I'm ready to party mode. Like you said, you're really strong at 6.
So this is the moment where I was just I was planning on just trying to get one more harass hit or so on Luna, and then just try to do a charge on her. That was like my entire goal.
But you're just worried about Eclipse, I'm guessing?
No, I just wanted to make sure that I didn't blow all of my abilities and then have her just run away.
Okay. Well, again, you can do math if you really want to. You could calculate how much damage Spirit Breaker does with this combo at level 8 with the items you have, which is pretty standard, just like treads. I think you made a big mistake as well when Luna poked right here. This is like the most obvious gank sign ever. She's clearly walking behind you, which means it's very likely that somebody else is approaching as well. So you should have backed immediately as soon as you saw her here, which gave her this opportunity to go for the Eclipse, obviously.
I think this is where I killed her.
You mean Tiny killed her?
Did I not? Oh, yeah. This one. Oh! How did I live? I'm amazing.
You got lucky. The Catapult ate a lot of those Eclipse charges. Or Eclipse beams.
I did. I got very lucky.
1.
No, I just...
2. 3. Then you got hit by 2, but either way. I think you should have just charged into her and then ran instead of using your ult. You guys got a kill, so it worked out, but that was kind of crazy. This one as well, you weren't tread swapping just for neutraling. That could have been like I think it's like a 80 mana charge instead of 100. If I do the math. You did this for the next camp as well. Something else you could have done that would have been cool is if charge was off cooldown faster, you could use it to charge to the medium camp to the left and do AoE on both of them.
Ooh.
Like you did, or like I showed in the Wind Ranger clip. But using mana to do these, that was good. It just should have been on int. And then when you actually ended up ganking later, this is 3 times. That would have saved you 60 mana. When you actually ganked afterwards, here's you attempting the gank on the Dusa.
Yeah.
And here's you with your mana. Like, it had like when you have 200 mana, it would have been so much better to be 260, obviously. I still went pretty well, but I think this is a Shadow Blade. It's just a bugged replay.
Yeah.
But yeah, just small stuff. It didn't matter there, but it could have. Okay, so this kind of should answer the question that you had, which was you didn't really know what to do. If you look at like where the game state is, you guys were pretty, I would say you're pretty in the lead, and you have really good late game because you have Bounty Hunter. So you guys are always going to get stupid amounts of gold, and you basically have 3 decent cores. So you guys can definitely take it late game. But the problem is they have like a bunch of team fight, and it's hard to kill Dusa, and it's hard to go high ground against like Epicenter, Medusa ulti, Luna ulti, all this shit. So what you guys basically needed to do was control the map. And what I wanted to show with this farm level comparison is that your team sucks. Like when you guys basically controlled the map a lot of the game, in my opinion. Did you feel like that as well? Like by mid game, I feel like you guys ganked a lot.
Oh yeah.
So if that happens, it's kind of like the anti-mage map drawing that we did earlier. That means Sven should just be like eating up entire like jungles, just going camp to camp to camp to camp, farming super fast. But he wasn't top farmer. Tiny can do a similar thing with Ags, but it just didn't really happen. So I did like that you sat and did neutral creeps. That's definitely a good thing to do in some of those moments. But your guys' advantage should have been like way higher. This is right after losing a big team fight as well. And then item comparisons as well. Like Sven should have more than this. Tiny should probably have a little bit more. Bloodseeker
I feel like Sven should not have gone for that lifesteal. I think he just needs damage.
Do you know what he turned it into? Was it a satanic?
Yeah.
Okay. I would agree. If I bought it, I would maybe get Mask of Madness. Can you use that with BKB? If you can, it might be worth it. Because he could just jump in and burst somebody down, probably like Luna or something. But this probably should have been like a Daedalus. He should have like a Daedalus right here, but he's farming slow.
I think that the Spirit Breakers build is a thing of beauty.
Yeah, you think so? It actually sucks.
Actually, yeah, no, the Echo Saber, I felt like I should have gotten a BKB.
Yeah.
I've been playing around with getting an Echo Saber.
It's good in there sometimes, but I think getting Echo and Shadowblade is kind of pushing it a little bit. It definitely makes you farm faster and it solves some of your mana problems. But yeah, definitely BKB. Like BKB hard counters Sanking. If you BKB, it doesn't do anything. It hard counters Luna ulti. It hard counters everything CM does, almost everything Nyx does. The only thing you'd have to worry about is Dusa ulti still disabling you.
Yeah.
So, any other questions about that last game or the Spirit Breaker games before we round out the Wraith King?
No, just me trying to figure out how to do different and better itemization with Spirit Breaker. I mean, for me, I am often trying to toss up between getting a BKB, Echo Saber, Silver Edge. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, you should probably stop buying Silver Edge. It's not very good for an upgrade for SP. Unless you're against, like, I don't know, Huskar or somebody that has, like, a really annoying passive.
I feel good that I have been not buying the Silver Edge very much, but...
You should. It's really expensive. It's like 2,400 gold. That's an Echo Saber. Is it worth it to make your Shadowblade slightly better versus just buying an Echo Saber?
But that's the thing, is that, like, I've been debating between, you know, like, depending on the game, Silver Edge, Echo Saber, BKB, or Assault Cuirass. Like, that is, like, my little box that I'm working within when I'm playing the games and trying to evaluate. And I still don't think I'm the best at identifying. In this game, I expressed, you know, regret at having gotten the Echo Saber instead of BKB first.
Yeah, it definitely affects things. I think part of it is that you're dying a little bit too much. This game, you had 7 deaths here. So if you had died a little bit less, you probably could have gotten the BKB in time, but because you went for the greedy Echo Saber and you died a little bit too much, so your BKB gets delayed, and then every other fight goes bad because you don't have BKB. So that definitely impacted things. And you can get away with the Echo Saber, but I think less deaths, just all that other stuff would make a big difference. BKB Blade Mail is an option. I think you should have gotten a Blade Mail this game, maybe first. Because if Luna ultis or Sanking ultis, you just reflect all the damage. It's cool. I feel like that could have been kind of useful, but you didn't really have to. It's okay to go like SB, BKB instead. Maybe you didn't farm enough this game, perhaps, but you probably could have ganked a little bit more. You've only been in like 16 of these kills, and there's been 23. I could criticize you on that as well. And that would have gotten more farm.
Well, see, that's actually really helpful, because that kind of answers some of my farm inquiry questions, where I have those periods where I'm like, I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to be doing, and I felt very inefficient in the mid game in the Spirit Breaker games. I did not know if I should be farming and being more patient and waiting for good opportunities to dive in there, or whether I should be trying to coordinate more and make more pickoffs happen.
Coordinate more. The issue is that part of the issue is you're playing with bad players and they're not doing any gank setup at all. They're kind of just relying on you to do that, and you can't just like charge and expect somebody to be there at the same time, because then the gank doesn't execute correctly. So that's a ganking issue mostly. So when you're playing lower MMRs with a gank heavy hero, I think it helps to pick a gank hero that's pretty self-reliant, that can get that stuff done by himself without needing to worry about whether or not his allies show up in time. So that's a lot of reason why players trying to really raise their MMR just play solo mid, and they just pick heroes that can control the game, because they're like, I don't want to have to rely on my allies executing their initiation the same time that I do, which is kind of a lot of what SB does once he hits 6 in most cases. So it's a little bit of both. Your allies certainly could do more, but at the very least, I think you did a decent job where you just farmed their jungle in the late game, just being like, well, nothing's happening, might as well farm the jungle, because at least you got decent net worth. Because I'm pretty sure your net worth in the late game was still pretty comparable. Like, it's just embarrassing that the Sven is only 3,000 ahead of you. There's no way that should ever happen unless he has like.
Especially when I'm 3 and 7.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, what are these guys doing, right?
Oh, man.
Did I show? I showed levels. Like, everybody's pretty comparable levels. I don't know if I showed last hits though. It doesn't look like I did. But I'm pretty sure the last hits were like, the top was like 150 or something, whereas a pro level player would have like 200, 300 last hits right now. There have been a decent amount of fights, but like they certainly could be farming more efficiently between the fights.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the laning stage for the Wraith King. This is an offlane anti-mage, which you should punish all the time, and you guys did not do. This was one of many times where you did not go for the harass. But all right, step number 1 is you got a CM in your game, which means you're going to get way more mana than normal as soon as she hits 2. Step 2 is anti-mage is a real shit hero at level 1. Yeah, he can drain your mana, but if you stun him, he can't attack you for 2 seconds, and he's slowed afterwards, and he takes a buttload of damage. And then after you stun him for 2 seconds, the CM can use Frostbite to prevent him from blinking or attacking for another 1.5 seconds. So literally every single time that you guys want to go on this anti-mage, he's disabled for 3.5 seconds with 2 heroes auto-attacking him. Such as right here.
I remember typing to my partner in crime, the CM, that I wanted to wait for level 2 to try to be more efficient. But I mean,
it doesn't.
We just should have shit on him.
What is your level 2 gives CM an aura and gives you a lifesteal. And to be honest, I think you should have gotten the crit maybe, just because might get lucky and do a little bit more damage. This is Wraith King's a really good example of comparing heroes. That what skill build do you get? And I kind of liked the max stun build this game because you had a CM, but I also slightly don't like it because it's an anti-mage and he has magic resistance, but it was probably worth it this game. But hypothetically, you could have gone like 1-1-4, and every time you happen to crit the guy, you do like 250 damage and he hits you for 60 or something. Like, that would have been incredible in the lane. Like, here's another case where you just should have stunned the guy. Like, you guys just auto-attacked him down to 60% HP with 2 attacks each, and nobody stunned. This was very frustrating to watch. It's like you gave him as much experience as you wanted this game. He didn't get very much farm, but you allowed him to come into this game. And when somebody plays offlane anti-mage, that guy should die 4 times. Or at the very least, every time he comes up the creep wave, you guys should double nuke him, and he should lose 70% of his HP. Every single time, starting from level 1. But you guys didn't take that opportunity very much. Until
I tend to be really timid, and I just know this is a pattern that I'm having, which is like I'm very timid at the start of almost every single new matchup at the start of a game.
Just because you don't understand what your strength is, or?
Yeah. I'm feeling it out in the early game.
The axe kill here, it was a kill eventually. Like, you did have a level 2 nuke, but hypothetically you could have done about this much damage as well at level 1. Should have done it a little earlier. I was not sure you needed to mango here. I thought you maybe could have chased him down, but it's okay that you did that. Especially because you have so much mana regen. So 1.8 per second, it's going to fill up pretty quick. Let's see, I said no tread switch here. It's the title of the video. Guess what? You will not tread switch. You nuked him here without tread switching. And you still had mana, which is fine. And it ultimately didn't matter too much. I really felt like you should have thrown a stun here. Still within range. It's off cooldown. You got the mana. Oh no, you ran like hell.
Oh, wow.
You selfed. But you definitely could have. When you're playing Wraith King, keep an eye on it, because it's only 8 seconds. Like, the difference between Wraith King and PA is, like, your ability is actually good at level 1. And, like, from level 1 to level 7, it actually does something Whereas PA Dagger is like, attack you.
Yeah.
Small attack, small slow. Instead, you could do damage, disable them, attack them like 2 to 3 times. Like, this was you just hitting Anti-Mage finally. And that could have been done literally the whole laning stage. Not quite that strong, obviously, because you have a big farm advantage versus him. He only has like Perseverance, but you missed a lot of opportunities for stuns, basically, consistently. No.
Good dog. What a good dog. Bark at dog.
Don't
Dad.
reassure. Don't reassure.
Bark at food man.
Here, you should have stunned. This actually, you really missed. Tell me what mistakes you made.
So I stun, and I tread switch, and then I armleted.
Got anything?
No, I really don't.
Okay. Let us slow this down. That didn't work. All right, let's see. Let's watch that again. Let's see what you did with your arm here. So this is how he shoots out a fireball, right? Puts his arm forward. The fireball's flying. And then you take your arm and you're like, let's put this back to normal position and then start walking.
I didn't animation cancel soon enough.
Yep. And as a result, you also could have turned on the armlet a little earlier, because by the time you hit him... Oh, it did about max out. I think you might have gotten 2 hits here, if you did cancel your animation, and if you casted your stun maybe a little earlier. You might have been able to. And if that was the case, and you got lucky and got a crit, that guy dies, 100%. Because that certainly would have done, like... I don't know, you would have crit him for, like, I don't know, 300 damage or something. So,
Yeah.
Like, I think the biggest story of this game was you just didn't use your disables enough. You didn't, it was like the reverse
Definitely
of
in
your
the
SB
early
game.
game.
It was like the opposite of your SB game. Your SB game, you were like pressuring and stuff, but this game, you were just afraid to pressure. So, did you look at Anti-Mage at all to like check his armor levels, his items, anything like that, or were you just like, oh, I just gotta get last hits?
It's that there are qualities that I feel like are true about heroes, such as I think Luna is a really shitty hero in the early game. I find it really hard to do much with Luna early on, and I have killed a lot of Lunas early on. But I also had the experience in the last Spirit Breaker game where it's like, okay, this is generally true, but I can still just get myself killed really, really easily. And I know that Anti-Mage just is super weak early on. Like...
But you didn't hit him.
Well, a part of me was, again, thinking, okay, he's weak, but how weak? You know, like, is my judgment incorrect? And over the course of the game, I started to go, geez, this guy's, like, super squishy. And consistently, what I have felt in the last 2 weeks of playing, where I've been doing a lot of offlane, is that I tend to just accidentally die at level 1, 2, and 3 a lot. Like a lot. So I think that I was just...
With just small mistakes, right?
Being overbold, thinking that I'm stronger than I am.
Okay.
So I have been trying to be less aggressive in early laning stages, just in general. But I mean, like, obviously everything you're saying is completely true. Like, I mean, I'm looking at Anti-Mage right now. He has like 2 armor and 640 health at the start of the game. He's like super killable. But something in me is going to play a little cautiously until you can get that stun leveled up.
But that's one of the strong things about Wraith King. He can be pressured by like axes and stuff. I was scared you were going to lane against an axe, and then it was an Anti-Mage. But you've got a stun for 2 seconds, and they're slowed, and they take burning damage. And look at your other skills. You have a free lifesteal item, which is your lifesteal passive. And you have a free crit bonus, which is just more bonus damage. So just with your basic skills, you have basically 2 damage skills and a lifesteal skill. So that means you can spend all of your gold on attack speed and damage. And if you just get lucky and crit the guy, he just dies. Like I played like an offlane Wraith King a long time ago, and I laned against an Anti-Mage, and I just went like 1-1-4 or something, and I would just slap him. Maybe it was like a PA. I was like, there's no way I'm going to kill this guy unless I just wreck him early, because once he gets into mid game, I'm going to miss all the time. So you just like pressure enough in the early game, and you maybe get crit levels, maybe you get like lots of mana and you throw a lot of stuns, but you work his regen down. And you didn't do that at all this game, except for like occasionally. So if this guy was a better player, he might have been able to transition this into a fast enough Battle Fury and then become a regular carry, which would have been really detrimental to your game, obviously. So just need
but he never got the Battle Fury, and I thought that he was absolutely getting the Battle Fury.
Oh, Yeah, because he had Perseverance at the start. What did he buy?
Yeah, he went Boots, Perseverance, and just kept Perseverance, and then got
Ugh.
Treads and like Sanj and Yasha or something.
Perseverance is like one of the worst items in the game if you're not building into something. It's so atrocious. Because I think the bonus is like you get a regen per second, you get 10 damage, and an extra 25% mana regen. That's what you get from the items combining. It's real bad. So yeah, he probably should have built Battle Fury, but I don't know. I don't think there was too much he could have done to win his lane a little bit more. Maybe do pulls or something. I'm not sure, but okay. Well, let's hop into the game. No reason to delay this any longer.
Oh, you mean until like the proper you're gonna coach me while I try to kill stuff game?
Does that sound okay?
I have to use the restroom, Sensei.
You're allowed. Speaking of Sensei, did you do that on purpose?
No, but
guys, we're currently sponsored by Gamer Sensei for helping support the show. Hey, your arm's over there. Has that been there the whole time?
No, just since the video's gotten small. Full screen that video. Go to the others. Go to the other screen. Let's give them the proper credence they deserve.
Hanging with Day9. There we go. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Anyways, we're sponsored by Gamer Sensei. You guys can sign up for professional coaching from top players of many different games. You can use the link down below, the Gamer Sensei logo. The actual URL is closed because I restarted. Do you remember what it is off the top of your head?
pages.gamersensei.com/learndota.
That's right. And the code is LearnDota. You can get $10 off your first purchase for coaching. So feel free to do that. Recommend checking it out. I know my friend Jaw's on there if you're looking for a Dota coach to search for. He is my recommendation. Nice guy, good player. Okay, with that said, Sean, I am allowing you to go pee now. What I usually tell my dog is, okay. You have to do this like hand motion.
Oh, yeah.
You are allowed to... Okay, go ahead, Sean.
Okay.
All right, we'll
I'm going to start the queue up.
That's dangerous. You can't hear me. All right, it's happening.
My headphones are off, so if you're talking to me, I have no idea what's happening. You show a break screen, I'm muting, so that way this doesn't pick up.
I know. All right, see you guys in a bit.